Hello, welcome to another Sandia Mountain Natural History Center quick trip. Today, we are really out in the middle of nowhere. We are not really near anything. The closest town would probably be Regina, New Mexico, but even that is probably 25 miles away. But we are at a place called Rattlesnake Ridge. And supposed to be some ruins out here. And we're going to look at some natural history and just see what we got. Well, we made it to the information booth here at Rattlesnake Ridge, and it looks like today I'm the information guy. But I don't know a whole lot about what we're going to see today. I do know that it was the home of Gallina people, and you know, sometimes not having the information is kind of fun because it can force you to go back and research it, maybe look closer and try and learn the story yourself. Or even, you know, a lot of people tie so much mystery to these places, but actually if you go back and ask the people who are still living here, who are descendants of these people, sometimes they know very interesting stories and histories of these places. So we don't have a whole lot of information, but we're going to find out along with you guys. I think I see our first ruins just up ahead. So it might not be immediately obvious, but we have come to a ruin. And this is a round structure. These round structures usually meant kivas, which were kind of a ceremonial meeting place. But what's interesting is I didn't realize the Gallina people had plastic, because this whole thing is lined with plastic. No, I'm just kidding. So what's happened here is this site has already been excavated and then refilled in to help stabilize it for future generations to study or just for people to see. So we came across the tag on this tree. No idea what the tag is all about, but I did want to stop and look at it because if you ever find something like this, it's very important to leave it alone. This is somebody's research. They're clearly studying this tree or this area for some reason. So don't think it's trash and tear it off and take it with you. Leave it and let the scientists do their work. We're probably learning. Just came across some evidence of a fire a long time ago, because this tree is gone and is surrounded by much smaller trees. But it's an indicator that fire is a natural part of our ecosystem. So if you've never been to New Mexico, especially these more remote parts, these are the kind of views that are very common. But what's not very common is some of the amazing history we have here. This is the remains of probably an observation tower. It was probably much taller, but the rock work on this is really just incredible, and the amount of work that went into it is really hard to imagine. So if you look closely enough out here, you're going to find little pieces of pottery. We know this is pottery because look at it, you can actually see the designs on here. Now these potsherds are pretty common, and people say I say shard funny. They're not pot shards, they're potsherds. But people say I say it funny, so I wanted to make that clear. But they are very common here. Pottery would just get broken and then just go back into the landscape. So one thing that I've said before, but I think deserves repeating, is when you visit one of these sites, they need to be treated with the utmost respect. And that respect includes all the pieces of pottery that can be found. They need to be left where they lie. It's important culturally, but it's also important scientifically. So they don't get separated from the site, and future generations can learn and study these past cultures and cultures that exist even into today. So we are finding a tremendous amount of lichen. Anytime you have sandstone, a little bit of water, that's a good recipe for lichen. But then we also have this rock, which is really cool, which this light green stuff is the lichen, but this is all moss. If we were to pour water on that and it were a little bit sunnier, it would actually turn green. It's dormant right now. It looks dead, but it's actually just dormant and will grow next time it gets wet. Got a squirrel right there, a ground squirrel. So this is the biggest structure yet. Looks like 2 big rooms. Very cool. And they probably chose this location for the views, but not in the modern sense, probably for a more protective site.